The 1971 film The Big Boss, I found this one mediocre. I really wanted to like this one, y'all, but I couldn't get past the mediocre acting, the fight scenes not being that great, and obviously this also being one of the weaker movies of Bruce Lee's career. Now, despite the fact I haven't seen many Bruce Lee movies, this only being the third one, and this was the first time I saw this, I have to say, as a breakout role for the late Bruce Lee, this one was very underwhelming in my opinion. So the story of this one is that a young Chinese man named Chan is working with his cousins at an ice factory after swearing an oath of nonviolence. But when factory workers begin to mysteriously disappear, then he steps in to find out what is going on. You know, when I had heard this was the first big role for Bruce Lee, I was like, great. I'm going to see some kick-ass action, a good story, and interesting characters. Unfortunately, none of that is in here. And the thing is, this movie could have been great, but it ended up being quite terrible. Overall, I have no interest to ever look at this again. I thought it was a dumpster fire. And quite frankly, Bruce Lee would go on to star in better films because this one right here is quite forgettable, to be honest. Time has not done this movie any favors. I won't even consider it a cult classic just because of how mediocre it feels. The acting is bad and laughable. The fight scenes is nothing to write home about. And the lack of character development is very noticeable here. And I get that this film is supposed to be goofy. There's a scene later on in the movie when Chan is invited to a dinner and they're just laughing and clapping. It's like over the place, and I'm like saying, okay, this was early 1970s Hong Kong cinema. That's not the real issue I have with this. The main issue I have is that the story is just all over the place. At least the late Bruce Lee does a decent job playing Chan. I like how he's a character that made a vow to his mother to never fight, but then he is forced to finally jump into action when his family is threatened by a rival gang. I don't know if they're gang members or not. It's never specifically stated if they're gang members. I just consider them bad guys. But another issue I have with this one is that Bruce Lee, he doesn't fight till past the 40-minute mark. Talk about being underwhelming. I came here to watch a great Bruce Lee movie, and what I got in was disappointment. And then the other characters, none of them are memorable whatsoever, such as Chow Mei. She's just a damsel in distress. There's nothing really more to her character. She being the female cousin of Chang. And I'm like, okay, why is this character here again? And then there's the other cousins of Chang, and no one really stands out. Even the villain, the big boss, is a disappointment. He doesn't really state his reasoning about why he's trafficking drugs into the ice factory. And like I said earlier, the fight scenes, they're not noteworthy. Some of them are just downright baffling. Like when the fires jump about 2 feet in the air, or maybe it's higher than that, but when they unrealistically jump high and do all these backflips, it comes off comical. I couldn't take any of the fight scenes seriously. Well, there was the end fight scene between Chang and the big boss. I thought easily the best fight scene in the movie. But to say that I like the fight scenes, no. At the end of the day, if you somehow haven't seen this one, then skip it because believe me, this one is certainly not worth the time. I'm giving this film a 5 out of 10. Now, I like Hong Kong cinema as much as the next person does, but my goodness, this one is just atrocious. I didn't have any fun, I wasn't entertained, and the ending is worse, as Chan, he ends up killing the villain, but he is immediately arrested afterward. I was like, what? That is without question one of the worst endings to a movie from that era. Anyway, as horrible as this one is, it's not like one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but it is boring with uninteresting characters and a story that is not noteworthy whatsoever. And that's my review of The Big Boss. Okay, leave your comments down below in the section and let me know what you think about this movie. Alright, this is Slum Guy 172 saying peace out.